the president, Donald Trump, thinks that banning violent video games will somehow stop, and movies will somehow stop mass shootings. Now, this is how I feel about this. This is how I feel about it. Mass shootings have been going on since the beginning of, well, not since a time, but since firearms and weapons have been available, there have been a lot of mass shootings in this country. There have been robbings, killings, massacres. I mean, wars that were fought on this soil. And, you know, going back 200-300 years. Wars that were waged and fought on this very soil. Excuse me. And I don't want to just say that guns don't kill people. People with guns do. I'm gonna say this in regards to these mass shootings. First of all, we got to start with the parents. It's a lot of these kids out here, especially in the urban communities, especially in the black communities, that are predisposed to, first of all, having a broken family. They have a broken family. They don't have a good support system starting out. Many of these people are poor, destitute, and they had a baby, you know, out of love or out of lust or whatever, but they weren't able to take care of it. That's strike one. They themselves were babies, and they made a baby, and they knew they couldn't take care of it. You know, so these, in the case of the Florida shooter, he grew up without his father and mother for the majority of his life. Is that an excuse for him to do what he did? No, but nobody really cared to ask or really cares until something happens. You feel me? Nobody really looks out and sees, you know, the signs or whatever, because to them, they feel like, well, you know, he's not done anything, so they overlook things. Things get overlooked. Things get dismissed. And when things get overlooked and dismissed, you have these situations where, you know, these kids grow up and they live without hope. And, you know, this would have been avoided had this been, you know, a black community, because first of all, they have metal detectors in the schools. They have armed security at the schools, and yes, is it messed up, but it's for these type of incidents. The gangbangers and the criminals do not go to schools because they know there's police presence there, there's security there, there's surveillance. You know, the children are being watched, or the hallways are being watched. Children are watched. There are a team of people that are there around the clock. Parents come and help out at the school. The bus drivers, everybody, everybody helps out to make sure the kids get to and from back home. But in the, the non-urban communities, the suburbs and the rural areas where these shootings occur, or the predominantly white communities where these shootings occur, you typically don't see the security. You don't see the metal detectors. You don't see these things. So when it all falls down, it ultimately goes upon the school systems and the lawmakers of those that are associated with those school systems that allow their children to go somewhere unprotected. Meanwhile, in the hood, it's like Fort Knox. So Donald Trump wants to say, oh well, it's these video games and these movies and things of that nature, and it's these terrorist organizations and things of that nature, but it's deeper than that, because these children are being neglected. So they look to gangs, or they look to terrorist groups and things of that nature to identify themselves with, because they feel helpless, they feel devastated, they feel like nobody cares about them, and they're not even grown, but they're told at a young age that they need to be. They're told at a young age that to suck it up. They're told at a young age to get over it. They are told at a young age that, you know, everything will get, life will get better. But without your father and your mother in your life, how is that supposed to happen? You know, how is that supposed to happen? How are these children getting reared? And then even with the mothers and the fathers in the child's life, you gonna have their friends, you gonna have they think, you gonna have different things that if you do not train your, you know, your child in the way that he should go, he or she will perish. So that's what I need for everybody. You know, not just the president, but everybody that's shocked that these things happen. Because in the hood, in my old neighborhood, somebody got killed every day almost. Like St. Louis is in the top 10 in rotation of the most dangerous cities out there. And nobody cares about these shootings, only because it's in a predominantly white neighborhood. It's at a school that is not in an impoverished urban area, and there are a mixture of students and come from a variety of backgrounds. A lot of them parents have money and 401ks and retirements and things, and go on trips and do these things. Like, nobody cares when it's the hood. But like I said, the way that you curb this is you make people better parents, you make people better equipped, you even the playing field. You get the people who are, you know, you get the people who aren't as educated, or you get the people who are in these impoverished communities and all they know is what they was raised on. And then when they get horny and they decide that they want to have sex and they want to have unprotected sex, nobody says anything to them. They just figure, well, I'm gonna have a baby, so you know I'm never gonna be rich, but I want to have a family though. And nobody explains to them, hey, you know, if you have this family now and you can't raise the family, you're going to fail your family. It's just too many. You know, you're going to fail your family, you're going to fail your children. Nobody explains that to these kids, or and then, you know, this particular person, I don't know his whole backstory other than his parents died. That's the thing. And he had no family that would rally behind him to grab him up. Maybe it was just his mother and father. We don't know the whole story. It does not make a excuse as to why he did what he did. But banning the video game and the movie, what was we going to ban books too? Because before video games and movies, there were books, and there were mass murderers, there were serial killers, there were, you know, gangbangers and things of that nature before television, before movies, before video games. So we ban these things, and then what if the shooting keeps going? It all starts and stems at home. If the parents aren't in the child's life, and even if they are, these things are bound to happen. And we change the gun laws, or we allow, I heard something about teachers being armed and things. Teachers do not need to be armed, because what's to stop a teacher that's armed, that she gets pissed off at the classroom and she wants to blow the entire classroom's brains out? What happens then? So now are the kids gonna get strapped up, or the parents gonna sit up in the, you know, in the classroom? These are questions that I have. And just because we ban a bad video game, or we make it hard for a video game to be sold, or they sold behind the counter like pornos or whatever, like they've been trying to do, or a movie, you know what I'm saying? Kids are still going to find a way to do those things that they enjoy. And if it's playing a video game, if it's enjoying a TV show or a movie, and it happens to have violence, it's on the parents, not the children. The parents, like when I was growing up, I played Mortal Kombat when I was 4 years old. My mother sat me down and said to me that none of what you see and you hear is reality. And if it is, in the case of like a music video or a movie or whatever, it is subject to interpretation, or it was based on a true story. It's not real. And these parents aren't teaching their kids common sense and core values. So these kids get out here and they get out here into the world, and you know, the girls are being taught to do things on their own. They're not being taught to, you know, work with their partner, man or woman. They're taught to be independent of men, especially. And then the fellas aren't being, because we got single parent homes and things of that nature, or these, you know, grandma raising them and everything else like that. We have these kids that are brokenhearted and mad at the world because of how life has treated them, and nobody has taught. Nobody, I guarantee you, none of the people that took him in, that took that shooter in, they didn't teach him. They didn't ask him what was going on. All they knew was he needed help, and because he was able to suppress or mask that anger that he had, and he didn't snap, they was like, well, you know, he got a gun. First of all, if you let anybody in your house with a gun, registered or unregistered, you stupid. You stupid, because now you're an accomplice, or you're an accessory to a mass shooter event, or active shooter event. So we gloss over this. We want to take the responsibility out of the hands of the family, out of the hands of the parents, and put it into a video game. A video game should not be raising, a movie or a television show should not be raising your kids. Point blank, period. I need everybody to like to share this video, because I'm going in. You know what I'm saying? And I see where the president is coming from. If we hide some of this, some things I agree need to be, you know, and they are to a certain extent, the terrorist stuff, some of the obscene things, you know, it needs, you know, some stuff needs to kind of be hidden, you know, at least from the public view. You know, the military and armed forces and people like that need to know the information. You know, they can have the information, right? But, you know, other than that, nobody else needs to see the information but the people who need to know. You know, how to make you know, how to make weapons and bombs and stuff like that. Like, certain things should be blocked or controlled from the sight of a child or anybody. You know what I'm saying? Certain things I think need to be controlled, but again, it goes down to the person. You know, it goes down to that person's line of thinking that they even would be on a terrorist website, or a bomb, or like a makeshift weapon making website, or gun store or whatever at a young age. Like, those things need to be, and they was trying to get them. The FBI was trying to get them, but they couldn't get them, and that's what it was. But I believe that in my heart of hearts, that if you started at home, and you know, things will be substantially better across the board if people will be parents to their children, instead of trying to be their friend, instead of trying to be, you know what I'm saying, instead of trying to be a friend or a confidant to your child. You need to be real with your child. You need to be honest with your child. You need to be strict with your child, because like I just said, I never had a problem playing video games or listening to certain music, or I never or watching the movie. I never said watching Boys in the Hood that I wanted to be like Doughboy. I never said, you know, seeing somebody. I never said that. You know what I'm saying? And it is true, kids are impressionable, but it's only because the parents have not done their job. And these kids, whether they mass shooters or they gang bangers or they rapists, murderers, all these things of that nature, if they didn't have a father figure or a mother in their life, or their grandmother, somebody that cared enough about them to steer them on the right path, then they are going to look to outside sources to try to make up for the lack of parental guidance and supervision. It's a proven and it's a known fact. It is a proven and known fact that these things did and do happen, and nobody cares. That's the problem with today's society. These parents are left to their own devices. They are left and not, they're leaving their kids to their own devices because they don't care enough about their children. They don't care enough about their seeds that, you know, that they would even want to raise them. These people are having kids to get food stamps, to get government assistance. These people are having kids. They just having kids because they're in love. They think they're in love or infatuated with somebody, and then when the kid gets her, the dude just lickety split, gone out the picture, or the lady is lickety split, gone out the picture, leaving that child to be raised by one parent who has to fight against all odds to get her bills paid, take care of her child, and somehow rest and relax and rejuvenate so she could get up and do it all over again. 7 days a week, no breaks, no nothing. You feel me? And if you ban something, it's still gonna be, these things still gonna happen. Mr. President, these things are still going to happen. And you can't curb the enthusiasm, but they're going to, if it's not on you, it's in you. If they have that level of hatred and rage to where this boy sat there and said that I am going to take the lives of these people because I was being bullied and I got kicked out of school because I fought back, or I got kicked out of school because they thought I was the source of the problem, so they just got me out of school. That's how society works. That's how, you know, that's how society works. Nobody cares about one another anymore. The bullies are bullying this dude because at their house, their parents ain't worth a damn. Their parents didn't take care of business. Their parents didn't love them enough. And now they come to school and they take it out on another student, and all the while that student going through the same thing that first student that's doing the bullying is going through. But instead of whooping his ass and defending himself, his God-given rights, you know, he's scared because if he fights back, he's going to get suspended. And I always thought that if a kid is suspended for defending himself, but in the streets he can claim self-defense, that's crazy about this, you know, because in real life, none of that happens. It's either kill or be killed. But we're teaching these kids, oh, walk away or get away, and this person is trying to hurt them, beat their head in, and in the street shoot them and blow them away. But we're teaching these kids that when somebody puts their hands on you to walk away or be the bigger person. Because why? I want to figure out why. Because I guarantee you, if that boy was able to finish school and go off and get a decent job or go to college, if that child had adequate resources and instead of being, you know, collected up as a ward of the state when his family died off for unforeseen circumstances, I guarantee you that that incident would not have happened if he had in those same and he had his parents that were teaching him life skills, that were teaching him right from wrong. I guarantee you that this shooting would not have happened or occurred. But because it did, now we have to have this conversation about gun control, and now you're talking about censoring or delegating the not the use but the purchase, the purchase and the use of the internet and entertainment media. Like, you know what I'm saying? These conversations have not just started happening, they've been happening. And I think it's time for the movie studios and the game studios start getting in these pockets of these politicians, because, you know, I could do a whole nother video about that, because, you know, it's so much that we can say, but at the same time, to the original topic, you know, I just seen, like, you know, I just seen a governor, my governor, it's embarrassing, you know, the governor gets indicted on invasion of privacy charges. Like, I see these things, you feel me? And I don't want people to think I'm speaking out against the government, because I feel like for where we live and what we have going on, we in the best situation. We can all rise above this, but some people need help. Some people need guidance. Some people need God in their life. They need parents in their life. These are the things that they want to have, but they can't get. These are the things that they long for, that they're jealous and envious of other people. I myself was in a single parent home. My mother raised me. I never had a father figure to show me right from wrong. And the only reason why I turned out the way that I did was because my parents and my family loved on me enough, and I didn't want to let them down. But for every one of me, there's 5 or 6 other kids. There are millions of kids who don't have a loving family, who don't have loving parents. And then there are some like I said, there have been some out there who, regardless, they're going to do bad things because they're evil. There has been evil embedded to them. The parents could be doing everything humanly possible, but at the end of the day, you know, it befalls upon an individual too. You know, once the child leaves the home, or the parents aren't there anymore to guide and lead that child, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's over with. It's a done deal. You know why? You know why that is? Because that man or that woman, after he's been raised a certain way, now he is going to live his life, and the way that he was treated in his life is the way he's going to treat everybody else. You know, you hear it all the time. People get jobs and positions that were bullied and called names, and so they get into the workplace and they start exerting their power. They start using their power to belittle and to threaten and to make the person that they're over, or the person that they're in charge of, they, you know, they take it out on them. And that's wrong. You know, it may not be a mass shooting, but we all had a person that you can kind of tell, Didn't get no love in school. Didn't get no love at home. And they're a broken person because of that. They're angry, they're a bitter person because of that. And there's nothing really we could do to really change the situation of the narrative, other than raise these kids up in the right way. You feel me? You know, we can, like I said, we can, you know, we can blame Congress. We can blame whoever we want to blame. You know, we can blame the schools. You know, we can blame the teachers. We can blame everybody. But when we blame people, we got to start with ourselves and our children. You know what I'm saying? So this your boy DJ KILLZOWN Jones, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, favorite, subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you can tell when I upload and go live. And I'm out, y'all. Peace.